Good evening, everybody. It's Friday, and you know what that means? It's another episode of the I Told You Show, and I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's episode 12. Tonight we have two great guests in the studio and my co-host, Kandi. Kandi, what are we doing tonight?
Well, tonight we're going to discuss the last city council meeting here in town, and we're also going to discuss the city council meeting that I attended in Flagler Beach and have a spirited discussion between all of us, unscripted, to see how Jeff and Ray can actually interact and discuss through issues so we can see how they would be on city council for us.
Well, let's get this going. And we're back. So, go ahead, Kandi. Go ahead and start off the conversation.
Well, I just wanted to have this interaction between everybody after the city council meeting that we all witnessed and some of us attended this past week. A morning meeting, a rather full meeting. For a morning meeting, it was very full. So a lot of concerned residents regarding our stormwater. We had several homes with water intrusion, people that have been complaining about this for over a year. And so I just think it's time for people to see how Jeff and Ray can work together and discuss this issue and just get their insight on it as well as ours.
Sure, I think that's great. And before we get into it and get their opinions, I want people to know that you are the admin for the Flooded and Flagler Facebook page, and that you pretty much started the whole wave. Like, maybe that's a bad choice of words.
Yeah, no water terminology, please.
you started the push, and I think you've done a fantastic job at it. So
I appreciate that.
So who wants to go first with discussing the flooding issue? Go ahead.
I could go first.
Sure, go ahead,
Jeffery
go ahead.
Seib for District 1, but you vote citywide, and please do, but please get out there and vote.
Yes, if it's on your ballot, you can check the box.
Yep.
It was a very spirited meeting this past Tuesday with a lot of folks there and addressing their concerns, and we could see that it was a very great concern to me because I got up and addressed that my area, the B section, was in the streets were flooded and the water was very deep. Mm-hmm. And so I know the waterway, it's called the Bel Air Waterway, handles that area, and it is a huge drainage canal system. But it was filled up the week before the hurricane hit, so we were in a desperate condition. It wasn't flooded over the roads, but on the road on I guess it was Friday morning, maybe Thursday morning, the morning after it passed. My street was underwater and it was impassable, and that is dangerous for many reasons. Folks that would need to get out or emergency vehicles that would need to get in. And as Kandi had said, this has been talked about for a long time, and people have been coming in to speak with the city council and calling the city up, and the city started the flooding issue with the homes being built. You know, just as another aside, I have two undeveloped properties on either side of my home, and we just received the stormwater bill for those undeveloped properties, and it's like $50 less than what the stormwater bill is on an annual basis for a home lot. And these undeveloped lots the city should be promoting because they're a stormwater plus. They hold the stormwater. Mm-hmm. I don't see, I mean, the bill has gone up every year, and it's like I said, it's $50 less than a home lot, which a home lot with the, say, 75% of the lot sealed off with the slab and with the driveway and with the lanai. There's a lot less area that absorbs that rain, and
it becomes an impervious lot.
And now, you know, I guess people see the swale in front, water running through it, but that's from the homes around it.
Yeah.
So they could be a positive. That would be one thing. But the policy on the city, they've got to get it together as to what they're going to do get out there and get moving on stuff. One thing that I noticed is that the Bird of Paradise Lake and the canal behind the homes was all the way up at the top of its banks on that day after the hurricane. And but a gentleman right before me spoke, and he said that, well, we need to dredge the canals, just like the saltwater canal. The freshwater canals have had nothing done to them. Some of the canals have been dredged. There is several of them in south of down getting to by 100. I know there's an area where they did dredge that canal, but the Bel Air Waterway Canal has not been dredged.
It needs it.
Yeah,
And
it needs it.
You've been complaining about that for a while.
One of the things that we have to think of is when there's a storm surge coming at us from the ocean, the water level is raised up higher. The water that's coming draining out, even if they open the weirs, it's got nowhere to go.
Got nowhere to go.
Water, as we were just saying, it seeks its own level. And if the level out is higher than what we're draining to, it's going to just fill up. Now, if we
got nowhere to go.
could increase the capacity of the canals by dredging them out, it would hold more of the water. Just like the Bird of Paradise Lake. I know that lake has silted in, just not necessarily with sand like the saltwater canals, but the fertilizers and the clippings and all of the things from a lot of the residents, it's in there now. And so we have to, that could be one avenue that we could look into amongst others.
Yeah, yeah. And Ray, what do you think?
Yeah, you had some good ideas earlier too.
Yes.
I agree with Jeff, and however, I think that more than the swales, which do need attention, they have to be graded. But I think the problem lies in the drainage ditches that the swales in every neighborhood drain into, and they in turn drain into the freshwater canals that in turn drain into the intracoastal. The swale on my cul-de-sac, which floods, I have after a big storm, I have lakefront property, and it hasn't been attended to in 7 years. It's all grown over, silted in, and that's the problem. And I liken it. I like to use the analogy, the funnel analogy, insofar as you have a funnel that has a wide opening on top and a narrow opening on the bottom. If the opening is restricted, and you keep pouring fluid in the top of the funnel, it's going to overflow, and that's what's happening because of the drainage ditches not emptying the swales. Now, each flooding case really is fact sensitive. You have to go there and see: is it due to a high build? Is it due to swales? Is it due to the drainage ditches? And it's not rocket science. You have to go to the areas that are experiencing problems. Now, I was listening to this city council meeting, and Grace, I think her name is Grace Stevens, no relation. If there were, my street wouldn't flood. She said we have 92 people working for the stormwater department, but we only have 2 teams. I think the word she used, squad teams, working on swales. So I said,
Crews, I think wasn't it crews?
Yeah,
crews. Okay, 2 crews working on swales, and so what is it? 5 people a crew. So let's say 10 people working on swales. What are the other 82 people doing?
Somebody has to hold the shovel.
You have to
Well, I mean, I'd say some of those people work the canal areas, the weirs. They check those for obstructions and stuff. I would say some people are in management. Probably quite a few of them are in the office management part. And then I don't know, are the people that work the wastewater plants, are they counted in that 92 people?
I don't know.
Yeah, we would need to find out.
I think they're utility department.
Well,
So that they would be
yeah.
counted under the, okay, so
Yeah, I think.
so that's a good question then.
That's basically my question.
Right.
What are the other 82 people doing?
I had to reason it out.
And in any management situation, you have to assign people. You have to prioritize. It's an in-basket experiment. We having problems with the freshwater canals and the ditches and the swales. So let's take some of the people out of less serious, or let's prioritize and use our personnel where it's most effective and needed.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to mention, which I think is rather silly, is there was, I think, the engineer, I forget his name, I was listening to it on YouTube, it was tough to, says, well, we could go to a curb and drain system, but it would cost $1 billion throughout the whole city. Well, you wouldn't have to do it throughout the whole city. Or
Yeah.
you would have to do it in the problem areas.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of places in Palm Coast that do not have swale problems. Out in Toscana and Hidden Lakes, they don't have any flooding problems there.
Yeah.
But so you can't count that into the total ball of wax. So
Well, the other thing that they try to do on a lot of issues, including the saltwater canal dredging issue, is that they look at the whole picture. You know, they're saying to dredge the saltwater canal is something like $50 million.
Right.
But you don't need to dredge all of the saltwater canals, and you don't need to do them all at the same time. You pick the bad areas, you fix those, and over time you move on. You know, it's interesting. When I first started bringing up the saltwater canal dredging issue, I don't know how long ago.
It was years.
But anyway, I found out that there is a gentleman that lives in Bunnell that I don't know if he still does, but he did back then, that owns the largest dredging company in the eastern United States. And their jobs are like dredging out around nuclear power plants and all this high-level stuff. Well, he gave me the name of the person that he uses that does all the depth finding and putting together all the permits for the EPA and Army Corps of Engineers and all those people that need to accept it. I got a hold of that person, and they sent me a bid for surveying all of our saltwater canals in writing. I handed that over to City Council. City Council didn't like that one because, you know, somebody, in my opinion, didn't get a kickback. However, they did eventually hire a company to do the surveys, and I believe it was $150,000 that they hired.
Taylor Engineer.
Right.
that's correct.
The bid that I put in,
Yeah.
that
$25,000.
makes
You
more
know,
sense.
Alan, I remember that meeting where you said that. I remember the city council. I was at that meeting where we were discussing the canals, the saltwater canals, and I remember you getting up and presenting that the fact, just what you're saying, that the company in Bunnell to
Yep.
the city council, and it was just like everybody was looking down.
No,
But-
and we need people in. You know, that my opinion, there's too much nepotism in our city council and in our staff, and we need to break that cycle. And we need to understand that what we're doing is OPM, other people's money. You're not spending your own money. So when they're doing that, they'll say, "Well, it's not my dollar." Well, you know, it's our dollar, and they're responsible for it. They really are.
Well, and that for the canals, it's a big issue. You know, I think we've got some big issues facing us right now that the next council will be dealing with. You know, that is one of them. The saltwater canals. This drainage issue is another. The wastewater treatment is another. Big money, big issues.
Yes.
They're going to have to be dealt with. I mean, we have a lot of items on our plate already.
Right.
Yeah, whoever gets elected this time is going to have a heavy plate to carry for a freshman administration. But
Yeah.
with the input from the citizens and the input from the staff that they decide to keep, I think that we should be able to move forward in a positive note. I just wanted to talk about another thing with you guys. I don't know if you guys have ever been to another city council meeting in another city before. I hadn't until last night. But a friend of mine and I decided to go to Flagler Beach, and we decided to go to their city county meeting and watch how they do things there. First of all, it's a way smaller venue. It is similar in format. It's just not as formal as how we do it in our city hall here in Palm Coast. So after they did the presentations and the public comment and things like that, they had a individual get up wanting to rezone an area that was low density to high density. And as I looked at who that was, and I looked over to where he came from where he was sitting and who he was sitting with, I got a huge wake up call Thursday night.
Who was it?
We have the same group of people in Flagler Beach, because it's still Flagler County, trying to chew up things there. Rezoning goes against the city charter. I cannot stress that enough. It goes against the city charter. If it's zoned low density or industrial, that's what it needs to stay, because the master plan was planned out that way for a reason. So this same group of individuals are, again, with Veranda Bay, trying to go from 400 and some odd homes behind the Publix before you go over the bridge to the beach there on the left, to over 2,200 homes in that same swath of land.
So say that what was it now, and what do they want to bring it to?
They want to go from 400 and roughly 75 homes, which was already approved in the initial PUD when Blase and the development company and they bought that swath of land.
Mm-hmm.
Their initial was approved for the 400 and some odd homes. Well, now they want to cram over 2,200 homes in that same area.
Yeah.
And that becomes high density, which is not zoned that way. It's not in our city charter. So I would like to hear what you guys think about going against the city charter in an instance like that.
Oh, why don't you go first this time, Ray?
Since I started this my campaign back in October of 23, that's what I've been saying. I am categorically opposed to rezoning, upzoning, spot zoning, except perhaps in hardship circumstances. Because every time we rezone and go from low density single family to high density multifamily or whatever the case may be, so the developer can triple his money or her money, we dig a deeper hole for ourselves. As a case in point, the sewer system is now overloaded, as you could tell from the last storm. They're not taking into the ramifications and the unintended consequences of all of this rezoning, and it's resulting in flooding, poor drainage, traffic, and other infrastructure-related problems, including the burning of this debris on the property. People who are asthmatic or have asthma are suffering from the smoke and an ash inhalation. I had people in Hidden Lakes tell me I got ashes all over.
It was
my car.
horrible when they were burning off down there. I live near there as well.
Well, the solution to that, as far as I'm concerned, is, that's to save the developers money. See, everything is centered around the developers.
Right.
It was to save the developers money, but they have chippers. They have these giant chippers that they
mulch it.
chip it on site.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, mulch it.
Yeah.
And pardon.
And
mulch.
mulch it.
And mulch it,
Mulch it.
all on site without having to ship it off or burn it.
Yep.
And that would save the developers money too. But
But that comes down to the city council and the people that sit on the dais making the developers do that. Because last night I did hear that it was the first reading last night. Okay. So we know they go through 2, 3, 4 readings.
Right.
It was the first reading and they listened to the concerns of the citizens, because I guess they sent out some kind of an email. And one of the main things that people didn't want in Flagler Beach was them burning like they burn in Palm Coast. So the developer, Michael Chimento, was their attorney. Yeah, he's everywhere, right?
there.
Who else?
He's
He's
everywhere.
always
That's what we
there.
call him, Chewy. He said that one of the things they would agree to was not burning off the debris. So they covered that for the residents in Flagler Beach. It's going to be up to y'all on the dais to tell them when they give you that first PUD, or you go to the building department and you say, we're here now and we will not let any more burning happen. So don't bring me a PUD with burning on there, because we're going to give it right back to you every time. Period. That's
What do you
should
think about it?
Well, I agree with Ray on the no burning, the mulching. I don't like it. It's air pollution. Our air quality is going down steeply here anyway, with all the vehicles on the road
And the
now, all
airplanes
the
and
more
everything.
vehicles. So the pristine skies that we used to have are, I hope, not a thing of the past. But for these developments, they're coming in, I think of the development now on US 1. They call that Palm Coast Park when that was set up. I was at the city council meetings when they were introducing that. The whole area, both sides of US 1, beginning at a Princess Place and going down. And they had it all labeled out, their apartment complexes here and single family here and commercial here. And at the time, they said that they have 2,000 acres of wetlands on all that property. And they said that if you allow us to drain and fill 200 acres of those wetlands, we'll save 1,800 acres. And I remember speaking to the city council then and saying, I don't like it. I don't like the draining of the wetlands, but to save 1,800, 200 seems like a decent trade-off. Well, I was very naive, because what ended up happening is what happens in the development process. Each unit of those blocks is done by a different developer. And each of those developers comes in with their own development order, and within that contains how many acres of wetlands on their property they're going to save. And when you added it all out, it's much more than 200 acres are being drained and filled. So that's the question. But the problem with that is that goes before the planning staff. And it goes through this whole elaborate process involving the planning board. They work with the developer for months, maybe a year, to do this. And the attorney for the developer, they work with them for a long period of time to set this up. The development plan, then they bring it to the planning board. It has everything laid out. Effect on water system, no effect. Effect on roads, no effect. Effect on schools, nothing. No effect on anything. At the end of it, their recommendation of the planning staff is, we recommend you approve these changes. The one area was the Polos, next to the Polos development in Flagler Beach. The Polos, that development was, it's Flagler Beach property. It was annexed. The property right next to it wanted to be annexed into the city of Palm Coast so they could get essentially what they wanted. The Polo property was one home per 5 acres. It's an equestrian
The Polo Club, yeah.
Polo Club,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've seen them.
And right across the street is the city property, and they want 4 homes per acre, a quarter acre lot. So they equated 20 homes with 1 home. Now, it's the comprehensive plan and the land development code. Those are the documents they go by. The comp plan is the vision statement. We're going to leave large areas open, and we're going to have development that's compatible with the neighboring land uses. I was like incredulous in my seat hearing the city planners, the expert planner that they introduced, say that 20 homes is compatible with 1 home. I was like, it's not compatible. So this is one of the things that I think we should change when we get in there, is to look at that and give them an order that we will follow what the comprehensive plan, because it's okay. If you read it, it's a good document. Mm-hmm. But when you get down to the actual land development codes, which it's based on, it's been changed and rewritten quite a bit.
Yeah. Compatible is somewhat of a nebulous term.
It's a nebulous term.
Yeah.
Well, they were homes, so the home, 20 homes, they're homes, and 1 home is. Homes are compatible.
If you're a builder and you want to build 4 homes per acre, and there's 5 acre zoning across the street, to the builder, that's compatible. To the people that own the property that's zoned 5 acres, it's not compatible.
Yes.
So, whatever my position is, and I reiterate, is if it's zoned low density, single family, when you bought it, you knew it when you bought it, and that's what it should stay.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that is the whole point of having you two here.
Yes.
Because you two have both lived in the city longer than me, and you guys both know the issues of the city. You've been to the meetings, you've been around town meeting people, and now we get to hear you think it out and you guys talk it out. So I just want to challenge everybody that hasn't voted yet, because I haven't either. Do you want somebody that knows what they're talking about, that has a plan for you ahead of time, how to fix our city? Or do you want somebody that's fluff and looks in a suit that shows up to all the big REC events just to show their face there? I haven't seen a lot of these people. I've never met Ty Miller. I've never seen him at a city council meeting. I don't even know what his voice sounds like. How anybody could vote for him just because he's in the military is beyond me. I would love to have him on the show and hear how he thinks about things, but I haven't never spoke to him. You reached out to me. You've reached out to me. A lot of people have reached out to me because they know that you and I, Alan, try to get things out to the community, and they actually are trying to earn your vote. So do you want somebody that's out doing the things that really matter, that earns your vote? Or are you going to vote for somebody that has the flyers, the mailers, and all the PAC money behind them? Because the PAC money means the developer money. So I know that sucks, but that's the truth. So you better vote accordingly, or we're going to be in the same boat that we've been in after the elections next month.
Yeah, I agree.
It's true.
I agree. Well, I've got a question for you guys. It's sort of currently near and dear to my heart. As you know, I sued the city.
Thought that was going to be it.
I figured we were going to have that conversation, Darren.
Yeah, well, I can't say much about it, but we can have that conversation.
Yep.
I sued the city not because I want to damage the city, and as a matter of fact, there's no request for attorney's fees should they lose, they being the city, and the issue is the referendum number 1 that's on the ballot and will be on the ballot.
And that's the bond issue for people that aren't accustomed to it by the numbers.
Yeah, it's the bond issue. Now, I can't say a lot about the case because the case is going on, but I'm sure that that both
can.
You can say anything
we
you
can
want,
talk about it. I
which
applaud
is
you.
why I'm bringing it up.
I'm glad you did it.
I'd like to know your opinions on it. You went first last time, Ray, so
Okay. I am glad that you began this lawsuit, because I think this referendum, it was not ready to go, and the way it's worded, you read it and you don't know what you're voting for, if you're voting for or against the proposal. The $15 million, that was what they put. This has been in place for a long time. The wording of this in the charter, that if it was over 15 million, because they've tried to do this before. But now, 15 million may be, for example, at the meeting last Tuesday, they were talking about the stormwater, and the price tag stormwater equipment was 18 million. So that's already over the 15 million mark. But the item on that referendum that was most concerning to me, in which I did speak to the city council about it, was the public giving up their right in the future to be able to vote for these items, that it would be done, as they call it, administratively. And I am very much against anything like that being taken away from the people's rights, because folks need to be able, we vote on things in America. That's why I was opposed to the appointment of, if we're going to talk about that, maybe of the new council member to take over Council Member Hyder's position. I spoke to the council on that also, and I said that they should have a special election and let the people vote, because maybe they pick the best candidate. Maybe the public would pick the worst candidate. That's not the point. The point is
The public should have
the
picked.
public should have had the
Yeah.
right to vote. We vote on things in America.
yeah.
So that's the item that I was against on that. Now, the staff puts on very great presentations, and they have a lot of credentials. They should be able to put together something that the council wants. The city manager is going to have to take that from the new city manager, whatever city manager we have, when with the next council in place, will have to direct the city manager. The policy is this is what we want. And then the city manager takes that to the staff. This is what they want. This is what you put together the package for. A lot of times on the budget, those items the staff comes in and presents. The millage rate, staff was presenting these millage rates, different items. The parking lot for over at the community center, they presented that item of the options of parking spaces. My plan on that over there is that I don't want them to leave that natural vegetative buffer there between the Florida Healthcare building that's there. They can maybe shrink down a few of those parking spaces. And I'm speaking about behind the
Old fire
firehouse.
station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the old
The
fire
old
station.
fire station. That's where they want to enlarge it.
For parking places, that just doesn't make sense.
I think they should leave some of that area. It's wetlands. They will have to mitigate it. Let's just build right back immediately adjacent. But these are the items, just some of the items. Just I started with the bond and went on a little bit.
What do
So
you think
Ray,
about
what
the
do you
bond,
think?
Shoot. There's a lot to unfold here.
Yeah.
All right, starting with the bond issue, I'm opposed to it. I'm opposed to the concept. Here again, it's taking away the people's right or the people's say by not allowing them to vote. By Florida law, revenue-raising bonds are the board or the city council can raise or issue a bond for any amount. They're not restricted as opposed to general bonds. So that's why they put in the city charter. It's just like in the Constitution. It's a check and balance. They put that in there, and they put a limit at 15 million, and you can't have more than a 3-year lease, and so forth and so on. Now they want to do away with that. Why? I don't know. I'm not sure. Somehow, I think it has something to do with the so-called westward expansion.
And maybe a sports
and
simulator
I think
league.
that's at the bottom of let's put it this way. That's what's motivating this bond, in my opinion. Now, what else did you cover, Jeff?
He was talking about the wetlands, saving it between the old firehouse and where they want to build more parking places, which I've never seen all the parking places there full before, but maybe on a Saturday. But anyway,
Well,
yeah.
you'd have to. I'd have to go out there, take a look, and see how we could pick up some extra spots. Maybe, as I think you said, or redesign the parking lot, perhaps. And it doesn't have to be at this point as grandiose a project as that they're presenting. You know, to pick up 10 spots.
But
It's
Ray,
just ridiculous. We don't really need that right now. We need other things.
But Ray, what I was talking about was the policy setting by the city council, the direction of where things should be going.
With the city
not
manager.
with the city staff presenting this is a millage rate, this is everything. That's what I was talking about, and that's what I think we all agree on is.
Yeah, I like to comment on that. Yes, I agree 100%. The city council's elected, staff isn't elected, all right? And staff seems to be running the show here. I mean, I go to the meetings. If I can't make a meeting, I watch it on YouTube. But it's as Truman said, the buck stops with the city council, all right, and not with the staff. So I agree 100% on that aspect of what Jeffrey said. Well, I guess that's all I
Yeah,
say
well,
on that issue at
no.
this point.
No, but
Alan's
that's
probably
good.
got a timer
That's
over
good. Yeah, well,
And the lawsuit.
Yes, the referendum.
On the referendum, I think that I think there's a swing vote here that's holding up the works. Why? I don't know, but I think that's what's holding up the shall we say settlement on this case.
yeah, well, they had a in the shade meeting, they call it, and I'm not privy to what the outcome was yet, because it was in the shade.
Right? None of us are.
But I don't see anybody running around cheering that it went really, really well. So
I haven't heard a peep from anybody.
yeah, and I guess the rule is that you can't until after the case is settled. Then they can release, unseal whatever was said during the in the shade meeting, which I don't really agree with there being an in the shade meeting. I mean, in the end, it's the people's money that they're playing with, and in
Right.
the end, the people have a right to know what's going on. But
We'll
that's
find
just-
out and we'll tell everybody once we do.
yeah, and I can't go any further with that. You know, kind of restricted on
Well,
what I can say
I
right
applaud
now.
you. I think it's wonderful that you did that. Stepping up for the city, you're always trying to do something.
Well,
to
you know,
make things. That's what everybody in this room wants, is just what's best
just
for
wanna
Palm
try to
Coast.
do
We
it.
all love
Yeah.
Palm Coast. We all moved here for a reason. We all understand there's going to be development. I've never said no development. I've just said stick to the master plan, stick to the charter, no more rezoning, and that's it. It's
Yeah.
really fairly simple.
Well, it's interesting when the whole lawsuit thing started. I'm known in the town as the city antagonist, which I wear proudly. But there were some people that were concerned that people might not like me. I don't care. I live in this city, and the city has to be taken care of, and
Right.
that's what I said when I ran for mayor. Every time that I've ever run for anything, it's always been city oriented, and
Right.
and like I said, nobody's asking for money, nobody's asking for anything. Just do the right thing.
And people don't realize that watch and listen to these podcasts, and you guys talk on the radio, and you guys talk at City Hall. They think that it's all fun and games and fun and glory getting up and talking in front of people, and that everybody likes you and that everybody agrees with you. Well,
No,
I can
no, no.
assure you that's not the case.
No.
Some of us have lost friends. Some of us have lost close acquaintances, and family members don't talk to us as much anymore because of our position on these things. But they're what's best for the city,
And that's the position you have to take.
and that's the position that you have to take.
So, any last word, Ray, before
I'd just
we?
like to say that you can't legislate, you can't govern if you're afraid at every turn there's going to be a lawsuit. You have to, as a legislative body, as city council, you have to do what's best for your constituency. You have to do what's best for the city. And if it's in conflict and somebody wants to sue you, when I say you, I mean the generic you, the council.
Right.
That's what we have lawyers for. But you can't be, as I said, once again, you can't legislate and you can't make ordinances and govern if you're every turn of the way you're afraid of a lawsuit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
Just
good
do what's
point.
best.
Any final words on your side?
Well, I think the final word is that I'm very happy to be here meeting with you folks and Ray, and I can hear that I would be willing to work with you on everything that comes before us in the city council, and make sure that we do just what Alan said, is we're here for the best of this city, the best of what we want done in Palm Coast. And yes, we're going to grow, but we've got to ensure that we keep the quality of life that we've always had. And if any direction it's going to go, it should go to be a better quality of life. And that's what we should be looking into. And the city staff should understand that and really recognize that they will follow what the city manager tells them, which is what the policies the city council gives to the city manager. And that's the way it should go. And that's what I would like to see.
Excellent. Last words?
So I just want to let everybody know this was unscripted. I don't know if these two have even met and discussed any of these items before, but you've got to see how they talk and work things out and how they see things.
Right.
I mean, I haven't seen any other candidates do that. So
No.
District 3, District 1, Ray, and Jeff, that's who you should be voting for. They've been here, they're going to be here, and obviously they know their stuff. That's who should get the check mark for you starting on Monday when early voting opens.
Yeah. And last word on my side is I thank both of you for coming into the Flagler Voice studio and getting on. And this might be the last time you guys can sit together in open public and discuss
Because the Sunshine Law.
the Sunshine
We
Law
might
might
have to
end
be here
this.
one at a time.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, we can only say hello.
yeah, you can only say hello.
And you're looking good.
Likewise. I just a point of clarification. When I was talking about you can't legislate or you can't govern because you'd be afraid of lawsuits, I wasn't referring to your lawsuit, which is not.
I didn't take it that way.
It's not a frivolous lawsuit at all. I was talking about, well, if you rezone, if you don't let us rezone this or upzone
Yeah.
this, we're going to sue you.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
go right ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I was referring to, not yours.
Yeah,
which
no, I
is-
didn't
which
take
is,
it that
which
way.
Is actually on the behalf of the people.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
take it that way.
Yeah,
You were very
No.
yeah,
clear.
no, didn't take it that way. But you know, Ray, that's what we have to have the departments do in the city, is not get to a point where the developer says, this is what I want. We're going to have that planning staff or whatever department is
This is
going to have
what
to
we're
say,
gonna allow.
wait a minute, this is what we allow. This is what you want. Let's see if we can reach some kind of a happy medium where everybody's happy. And if you can't be happy, the people of this community will be happy, and
Right.
that's our priority.
You're absolutely right. And I just want to add that Mark Stansel, who was formerly my opponent, has been appointed to the planning board.
Yes.
And he's a stand-up guy.
Yep.
Yep.
He's not a go-along to get along guy.
No.
So let's hope that he brings some common sense to
Yes.
And
I
he
think
lost
he
by
will.
2
Good guy.
votes, right?
yeah, it was
It was a very
I won by a landslide.
2 votes.
Thank you guys all for coming. This
Yeah,
was awesome.
thank
I
you,
really enjoyed
folks.
this.
Yeah,
Let's do
thank
this
you.
again.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. I appreciate you coming back. And even though we might not be able to have you both in the studio at the same time in the future, I hope.
I hope so too, actually.
I hope I can get you in individually and we can continue to discuss
Yes.
how to bring the city
Anytime.
to the best way it can be.
Remember, if it's on your ballot, you can check the box. Don't think about your district. You
That's
can vote
right.
all the boxes.
That's right.
And in District 3 race, may I add, you can only vote for one
one.
candidate in District 3.
Yes.
Because there
If
is
you
2
got-
Republican candidates.
Right, because
Right.
there's 2 Republican candidates. If you got some sort of a slate card
Yes.
indicating that both ovals are
I
filled,
filled in.
Yes.
Yeah.
you can only vote for one, because if you vote for 2,
Your vote doesn't count.
You'll valid-
overcount, and
invalidate.
your vote will be null and void.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we went a little bit long today, but that's okay because it was excellent conversation. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. And Kandi, we're going to be back here next Friday
Next
again.
Friday. Who knows what we'll talk about then?
We don't know. And hopefully we'll have some great guests like we did tonight.
Yep.
But thank you again.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Good will.